Hey guys, welcome back to the Ice Project. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice Project. Welcome to the Ice Project.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ice Project. Obviously, a few things have changed over the past couple of weeks, but one thing I'm excited about is getting back into content and getting back into podcasting. It's one of my favorite things to do. Obviously, you can just sort of sit there and document your own journey. I found through documentation of my journey over the past 3-4 years, especially in this podcasting realm, it's probably the thing that I get the most ROI on. And what I mean by ROI is not return on investment when it means the money, but return on investment when it means the impact. And what I mean by impact is people inboxing me and saying, good to see you back, and love watching your journey, and sort of love the vulnerability, and I wanted to start a business, and you're the guy who inspired me. All that sort of stuff sort of fills my cup up, and it really does. And I'm excited to be back, and it's going to be a combination of a lot of things: interviewing sports people again, interviewing entrepreneurs again, self-documentation again, Q&As again, and that's going to be a part of this show. But I just wanted to jump on and sort of do a little bit of a catch-up and sort of see where we're at. And I'm not too sure who's actually interested in this, but it's part of the journey. So yeah, it's been a crazy sort of 8 months. I reckon 8 months ago, I wrote down a goal that, I wrote down the biggest goals that I've ever had. And I've got big goals. I'm ambitious. I don't really hide the fact. I think sometimes I talk a little bit too early. I'll just jump on a mic and just go bang, like, let's do this. And before I've even launched it. But I don't really hide the fact that I'm ambitious. And I wrote down these goals 8 months ago, and literally a week later, everything just started to crumble, started to fall, started to, like, anything that could go wrong in business started to go wrong. Obviously, like Caleb stuff with the suicide attempts, and then had to let a few people go in terms of like Simeon stuff. And then a few of the boys actually ended up leaving. They all just got better offers and sort of chose to take that sort of route. And once I got to the other side of it, and there's 1,000 things that happen between those, in terms of like financial stress, business stress, stress of suppliers, everything else in between. Once I sort of got to the other side, I said, like, right now, today, in this moment, and just sort of like that's why that stuff happened, or that's why the boys left, or all those sort of things start to go through your head, because you get to the other side and you're like, shit, I survived that. And you're like, oh, this is just the universe teaching me a lesson. These are the lessons that I had to go through for me to get to that sort of next point, or shed that skin for me to grow, or if you're a caterpillar, break that cocoon for you to start flying. And then once I sort of got out to the other side, like, a lot of great things have started happening again. And in my life, there's just been too much evidence for me to ignore signals like that. I'm someone who believes in the universe. I believe in karma. I believe in working hard. And I think if you do good things start to come back around. And like the past month, since the boys have left, like obviously signing Artie, international athlete, me and him have got this like mad connection at the moment where we talk every day. We talk about AI, we talk about content, we talk about nothing about football, to be honest. We talk about how we can make a change. It's just cool to be around that type of person again who wants to like grow. And obviously me and Cheese got a pretty cool relationship at the moment. We haven't made the content that a lot of people sort of anticipated would make. But in saying that, like, I just want him to be himself and focus on football. You come to one of the biggest clubs in the NRL, into a saturated market like Sydney, and he's got other media commitments that he needs to do. He doesn't need any added pressure from me. And me and him talk enough, and we've got cool ideas and plans for shows. And they're not always just going to be podcast shows. We got some other shit going on. It's sort of cool to have him around and bounce those ideas. But one thing I have been doing is sort of putting myself into rooms or into meetings with people that are way smarter than me. And like, I come out of those meetings so energized and so excited that I go again. Like, one thing I've realized about the past couple of years, I'm not made to be a manager. I think I'm good at leadership. Like, I can go, hey guys, let's all go in this direction. Like, if you get me in front of you, I feel like I can inspire you to do something just through communication, just through talking. But like the day-to-day management of like, oh, why is he down, or what's happened with him now? Like, that sort of stuff really drains me. And being in meetings with people I don't like being around, that shit really drains me. For me, energy and environment, like kind of like Siamese twins, they're sort of joined at the hip. So if my energy's off, something in my environment's off, and I just need to figure out what it was. And probably for the past couple of years, it's just been this big like stress ball and stress. And It's just not fun to be around. It's not fun to be in. You try your best to get through it and have a smile on your face. And generally, I thought I was really happy in those times. But I think happiness is not always about smiling. I think happiness is more about just being at peace. I think that's cooler. Happiness is more about peace. Now, I want to be successful. I'm not going to hide the fact, but you don't want to be like a stress ball while you're being to be successful, because you start to distance yourself from people and friends and families and like events too. Like there's times I'd ignore events because I'm like, oh shit, I have to go to work and do this thing, and you sort of alienate yourself from the world. You sort of forget to live a little bit. So these are kind of all the lessons that I've sort of really been going through. Then obviously someone like Gary Vee messaging me just randomly, like he does this shit randomly, and like 2 weeks after everything that had happened, and once I sort of accepted the situation for what it was, like an inbox come through one morning and keep going. And it's crazy how much that one little message changed my whole perspective about a lot of things and made me excited, because a lot of people go to me and I feel I don't really like when people say it. I get it, but it just kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, or makes me feel like an imposter. That like they're like, oh, you're my Gary Vee. Like people say that to me. It always makes me feel like a little bit weird. But I kind of want to be, because I know what they're saying, and I know what they're saying. They're saying that I know how much you look up to him, and he's influenced you to do stuff, and maybe me just doing me as me has influenced some people to do their own things. So it kind of put that, like, you know, wasn't like, I want to say kick up the ass, but it was kind of like, oh shit, this is my little path. Maybe I won't influence as many people as Gary Vee in the world, but maybe I can influence a couple Polynesian or Māori boys or Kiwi boys, or maybe I can influence NRL players to sort of make the most of their platform and pursue sports outside of that. Maybe I'm destined for bigger things. Maybe that's it. But it kind of sort of made me realize that that's the type of thing that makes me feel the best. That's the type of thing that fills my soul up. That's the type of thing that I love. Like, that's the type of shit that gives me energy. So I think that's my path. I think that was the sort of the moment where I just gone, yo, maybe this is you. Maybe this is what you need to do. And it's not about money, because I've been in situations where I could have made like a fuckload of money, and more money than I could have made now. But I just kind of, like, my values, there was something in my stomach that was like a little bit off. I was just like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I don't. One of my things is, like, I want to go to sleep with a clear conscience at night, and I want to be able to sleep no matter how much money's in my pocket. I think doing right by people is the right thing to do, because eventually good things will come back. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to sit here like I'm this fucking saint, because I've fucked up so many times. I've said things I'm embarrassed about when I was a grown adult, when I was a football player, when I've been out on the piss, to staff, you know what I mean? And all those sort of moments have come from, you know what, I'm not going to make a fucking excuse for that. They've just been shit I've said, and like sometimes I look back on shit I've said in the past, I'm like, fuck, you were a fuckwit. But in saying that, it's all lessons. It's all lessons. So next day, sort of Gary Vee messaged me again, and he just like sent me like this proper video, and he had this link below, and it said he could sign up to this like VIP section, and he can help you out if you can. But I've got that connection there now, which is like crazy, which is really cool to me. Yeah, and hopefully he's down here in August and I get to interview him. This sounds weird and it sounds cocky, but I feel like this was always going to happen. Like, sometimes I have this in NRL where I used to believe in myself that I'd play NRL so much that, like, when I got to that point and people sort of asked you, like, oh, what's it like? I was always like, fuck. You don't want to say, like, oh, I expected to be here, but I think when you look back and you've put in so much hard work and those sort of situations or opportunities pop up in life, I think it's not a bad thing for you to expect to be in those situations. And I'm not too sure if it'll happen, but I hope it does. I hope he's literally sitting there one day and we can just sort of chop it up and talk and try and provide as much value. Because he's always been my guy. I've had the chance to sort of thank him one time, but yeah, it'd be cool just to sit there and podcast and be like, fuck, look what you built. Like, you taught me all this sort of stuff, and make sure you start a podcast, make sure you start vlogging, and make sure you're always giving back. Like, that'd be cool, you know what I mean? And hopefully he's sitting there one day. But I I don't know, kind of rambling here, if you guys don't mind, but just going to do one sort of Q&A here. I'm going to get back into Q&A a lot. Like I said, I've sort of set up my environment for me to get going again. Like I said, energy and environment is really important to me, and I love being around myself and I love being on my own, honestly. Like I know I make a lot of content, but when I'm on my own, all these sort of ideas start to happen. I'm not stressed anymore. Don't have to worry about staff anymore. There's less financial stress because everyone's gone within the business. I can just really focus on doing the things that I think I'm good at, and I think content's one of those things. But yeah, we'll do a Q&A and then we'll wrap it up, and make sure you guys hit me up on these Q&As on the phone calls. I think the phone calls a little bit cooler. You can ask like a longer question. It's not like a very short form one, but we can sort of just get rolling and go from there. So here's a question.
Tēnā koe ho, anei he pātai. YKTR
Loving the old moldy intros too lately.
has a strong connection to the sports world, especially league. How have you leveraged that hononga or connection to build the brand's identity, and what role do you see sports playing in YKTR's future?
So what have we used sports to shape our identity? I think sports are a part of our identity. I think sports is like where we stem from, and that's how I met Chico and Normie, through playing rugby league. And we just sort of developed a really cool friendship from there, and sort of had the balls to try something new. Now, I know it's common now, like taking photos, reading books, making videos, making clothes. Like it's very common now, but like back then it wasn't. It was like we used to get laughed at, we used to get paid out. Same old shit. Like everyone else goes through this when you try and start a clothing company or start a company. Like no one's going to buy your stuff, and usually the people that are closest to you are the most critical, and the people who don't know you, your biggest fans. That's quite a common thing to happen, and it was like rife with us because we were like football players too, and sort of people knew, probably more so the boys, Chico and Normie. I was just kind of like the low-key mate who was into business and reading books, but they gave me a lot of confidence very early on. They're like, I was keen to do it and drive it and do everything, and I know those guys were sort of at the peak of their careers where I was kind of more interested in dipping out of football, but they just had this blind confidence in us and we that we could do something different. Like I remember us walking through General Pants and going, fuck, why can't we just make a t-shirt like this? And it was really basic stuff, but it was just like, at the time there was only Zanerobe, and Zanerobe were in America at the time, and had Nate Robertson rocking their stuff, and we just took a crack, we took a try, but it just stemmed from sports. Now, if you think about it, if you take away family, if you take away religious beliefs, people only care about a couple core things. And like that's music, that's food, that's anything, culture, art. But the main one's sports. You look at some of the biggest sports, the biggest Instagram accounts in the world, they're sports players like Lionel Messi, or entertainment like Kylie Jenner. Like a lot of people really care about entertainment and they care about escapism. And the reason why they sort of bank on these things is because it allows them to escape their normal life. Like most people live a very 9-to-5 sort of rat race life that necessarily they don't always love. And when they get home, they don't want to think about their day. They don't want to. They just want to go home and escape. Now, there's different ways you can escape, but a lot of it's based around entertainment, music, art, culture, entertainment. It could be movies, it could be books, it could be reading. And one of the great forms of entertainment is sports. So we'll always sort of dabble in this market. I don't think it's going to be the same way that we used to, where the reason why I started YKTR Sports was because I was just fucking sick of media and them like talking shit. And I want to create a platform where players were comfortable and they could come and sit down and have a chat with me and tell their truth. Like that was kind of like the original idea. And then we kind of wanted to create some original shows around that. Then COVID hit, and then we sort of got moved towards podcasts. We were just trying to pivot and keep our head above water. So we went down that route, and then obviously we started the sports show, had a bit of success there, started to grow, and obviously the boys thought the same thing and sort of took it elsewhere. Now, one thing that was positive about the boys leaving was it kind of removed us from like a saturated market where we were almost a little bit too footy orientated. Like if you look at media traditionally, it's gone from radio, so like our parents who are like 60 to 80 would listen to that. Then it moved towards TV. And then like people who are between 40 and sort of 50 sort of really banked on TV. Now we banked on social media and podcasting growing up. So the space we were dabbling in at the moment was a very saturated market. And like former NRL players talking about the NRL currently now. So you're going up against Channel 9, who are fucking bankrolled to the death, Fox Sports, who are fucking bankrolled, KO, which is basically Fox Sports. And then you got your sort of sub-media guys like sort of Bloke in the Bar, Hello Sports, all those sort of guys below that. Roasty is there. And there's a place for everyone. Like, I do think Scope and Mace have a really good point of difference. Mace is very outspoken and entertaining, and he's not far off. I haven't heard him miss too many points. He's sort of spot on. He knows what he wants to say. He's probably a little bit too controversial for TV because he wants to say his own thing, or he wants to talk in a longer format. So that's a like really good point of difference. Scope, really good podcaster, obviously been here for 3-4 years and sort of learned the trade, and has got a great relationship and great chemistry with Mace. Now, just because they've left YKTR doesn't mean I don't think it's a good product. I just thought if we went back into that space and done another sports show with a couple NRL players or ex-NRL players again, I just think we just, you know what, just I feel like you're just swimming in circles. So for us, it was like, shit, where can we move and where can we go towards this white space? So I think league will always be a core part of what we do, but I'll kind of want to expand out, because if you think about rugby league, it's kind of like a eastern suburb. It's Sydney and Brisbane. Let's be honest. It's Sydney and Brisbane, eastern suburb, eastern coast of Australia. You go down to Melbourne, fucking AFL everywhere. So I just kind of wanted to move away from that space, and then what I want to do now, and I won't talk about them too much, but create original shows and original IPs that that could potentially. It's not so much like podcasting all the time. Like I do love podcasting, but it's just creating shows and IPs that could expand beyond just rugby league. That's where my mind's at right now. That's what I'm thinking. So, sort of to go back to your question, sports will just be the core of who we are, just because we've come from that background. But where we are going towards the future, it's more so about creating cool content that can sort of use sports as a vehicle to do that, and create IP that can expand out to things past sport. Sounds like a little bit confusing, but in my mind, it's super clear, and the shows I want to create. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah, thanks for letting me sort of just chop it up and let some stuff out. And yeah, obviously, I think I got LeVar Ball in here tomorrow, which will be crazy. So, more content coming soon. Appreciate you guys.